Xi Jinping talks about political reform in Hong Kong. Local parents rally against fight for kindergarten spots for their kids. And U.S. Special Forces in action in Africa.
Hello and a very good evening. President Xi Jinping spoke out on political reform in Hong Kong during a meeting with Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying in Bali today. According to Leung, Xi said any changes that must be made in line with the basic law and decisions of the National People's Congress Standing Committee. And the reform has to be carried out in accordance with the law. Evelina Leung reports.
President Xi Jinping held a meeting with Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying and his team on the Indonesian resort island of Bali today. Also in the meeting were Wang Huning and Li Jiangshu, Policy Research Office Director and General Office Director of the Communist Party's Central Committee, respectively. The closed-door meeting lasted for around 40 minutes. The chief executive met the press afterwards. The president stressed that everything related to political reform must be in line with the basic law and decisions of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, Leung said. The president also emphasized the government and everyone in society have to respect the rule of law in Hong Kong and do things in accordance with the law, the CE added. Besides political reform, the problem of housing in the SAR was also discussed. Leung said he informed the president that property cooling measures are needed to stabilize the market. On the 2010 Manila tour bus hostage tragedy, the CE relayed to the president demands for an official apology and compensation made to the Philippine government by survivors of the ordeal and the victims' relatives. Leung said the president then instructed relevant authorities to follow up on the matter with the Philippine government. In Hong Kong, an organizer of the Occupy Central movement was on the defense after hearing the president's comments on political reform.
We do not see any of our proposals going against the basic law. And we think that the most representative type of nomination committee arguably should consist of all citizens or voters. At least logically, we believe that this is sound. If the authorities believe that this is inappropriate, we would like to listen to the arguments.
Evelina Leung, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping also met with Taiwan's delegate Vincent Hsu on the sidelines of the APEC talks today. During that meeting, Xi stressed the tensions between the mainland and the island have to be resolved soon. The Taiwan representative said the relationship between the island and the mainland has been improving in recent years. According to Xinhua news agency, the president called for a family relationship across the Taiwan Strait. She said the two sides should make use of the opportunity now to resolve the long-stemming political problems that lie between them. He also said they need to strengthen economic cooperation to face the challenges arising from the developing Asia-Pacific region.
Meanwhile, Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono urged countries around the region to do more to bring down barriers to trade and investment. Addressing delegates at the APEC CEO Summit, one of the sideline meetings of the 2 days APEC Summit opening tomorrow, Yudhoyono said emerging economies were slowing down, and this was made worse by trade deficits, capital flight to advanced economies, and weakening local currencies. He said APEC could help reverse this trend by encouraging member nations to further open their markets and prevent trade protectionism.
More than 100 people took to the streets today to protest against the long queues that parents have had to endure just to sign their kids up for kindergarten in North District. But as Diane To reports, the Hong Kong Kindergarten Association has some suggestions to improve this situation.
Priority for Hong Kong children. That's what these parents demanded as they rallied from Fanling MTR station to the North District government offices this morning. Many were dressed in red to symbolise their anger over the fight for a kindergarten spot in the area. They're upset about the queues of hundreds of people that formed outside the kindergartens over the past few days, many of whom were mainland parents whose children were born in the SAR. They complain that the government isn't doing anything to protect their children's right to an education.
We think this is not fair for Hong Kong people. They have to fight for us, stand for us, and then discuss with us.
While many schools now say they will consider SAR residents first, the president of the Hong Kong Kindergarten Association suggests schools set up centralised application days to make it easier for parents. Speaking to TVB News today, Mary Tong said a limit should also be set on how many schools they can apply to.
But this issue will have to be done by all these kindergarten principals or their management committee. So they must have the same tone, consensus. So once if they display their counters into the town hall on the designated days, so parents can all go there and visit that allocation center, then they can have the 2 quotas, then they can simply choose.
Tong urged the Education Bureau to help with the coordination so that this can happen by next year. The number of cross-border students starting school is expected to rise further next year. But Tong said the logistics and resources needed to add school places is not a simple matter. She called on mainland parents to consider other districts near the border, such as Yuen Long and Tin Shui Wai. Diane To, TVB News.
Turning overseas again, US Special Forces have captured a senior al-Qaeda member during an overnight raid in Libya. He's wanted in connection with the deadly bombings on 2 US embassies in East Africa 15 years ago. But a separate raid by US forces in Somalia failed to achieve its goal of getting a member of the al-Shabaab group, which carried out the attack on a Nairobi shopping mall last month. An ambitious 2-pronged mission yielded mixed results for US Special Forces in Africa. The Pentagon said Navy SEAL commandos carried out raids yesterday in Libya and Somalia. The Americans were successful in North Africa, with officials announcing the capture of senior al-Qaeda member Anas al-Libi during the Libyan raid. He was wanted in connection with the bombings on the US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania that killed hundreds of people back in 1998. Al-Libi is alleged to have been one of the chief organisers who helped al-Qaeda gather intelligence prior to the bombings. He had been on the FBI's most wanted list for more than a decade, with a $5 million bounty on his head. US officials also said the raid was conducted with the knowledge of the Libyan government and that al-Libi is being held in a secure location outside of Libya. But thousands of miles away in the Somali town of Barawe, US forces failed to capture or kill the intended target from the al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab movement. The American operation there appears to have targeted a senior member of the Somali militant group. The Somali raid comes only 2 weeks after al-Shabaab's attack on a Nairobi shopping mall, which left scores dead. Over on the Indonesian resort island of Bali, where US Secretary of State John Kerry is attending the APEC summit, America's top diplomat promised his country would continue going after terrorists.
We hope that this makes clear that the United States of America will never stop in its effort to hold those accountable who conduct acts of terror, and those members of al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations literally can run but they can't hide.
He said the raids demonstrated Washington's resolve in dismantling al-Qaeda and groups linked to it, like al-Shabaab.
The partial government shutdown in the United States has entered its 6th day, and there is still no end in sight. But there is hope for the 800,000 furloughed employees. While the Pentagon plans to recall 400,000 civilian employees, lawmakers have voted to retroactively pay other furloughed workers once the federal government reopens. Good news for those furloughed over the U.S. government shutdown. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle in the House of Representatives agreed to retroactively pay 800,000 furloughed federal workers once the government reopens.
407, the nays are 0. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Plus, citing the Pay Our Military Act signed by President Barack Obama on Monday, the Pentagon plans to recall 400,000 civilian Defense Department employees. The act states that those who contribute to the well-being of the U.S. military should not be furloughed. But any hope of passing a funding bill or raising the debt ceiling was a no-go for Republicans, who still blame the president for refusing to compromise.
It doesn't make any sense if the president has an axe to grind with the opposing party, why he would want to put the American people in the middle of that and enforce the pain on them.
But clearly that is the price Obama is willing to pay.
That's why I won't pay a ransom in exchange for reopening the government. And I certainly won't pay a ransom in exchange for raising the debt ceiling.
Illustrating just how badly the shutdown has affected the masses, Obama read aloud the letters of those hurting most.
Our Head Start agency was forced to stop providing services on October 1st for over 770 children, and 175 staff were furloughed. I'm extremely concerned for the welfare of these children.
Like playing a game of chicken, Obama says he will not bargain until Congress reopens the government and passes a new debt ceiling by the October 17th deadline. Only then will he negotiate changes to his signature health care law.
For as reckless as a government shutdown is, an economic shutdown that comes with default, with America not paying its bills, would be dramatically worse.
Analysts further warn a catastrophic debt default to America's economy will spread to other countries like an out-of-control plague. Doctors ordered a month's rest for Argentina's president yesterday after they discovered blood on her brain due to a head injury. The spokesperson for President Cristina Fernandez confirmed she had suffered a skull trauma back on August 12th. Doctors discovered bleeding between her brain and skull after the 60-year-old leader complained of headaches and an irregular heartbeat. Her medical setback means the Argentine president won't be able to campaign ahead of congressional midterm elections on October 27th. Such votes will determine whether the ruling Front for Victory party can garner enough seats to enable Fernandez to continue ruling with virtually unchecked power.
And still to come on the news tonight. East China bracing for the approach of a typhoon. Cross-harbour race in Hong Kong. And Love Post Day on Wednesday.